Those of you who know me know that I have a severe case of retirement failure. Many failed attempts to retire from work as a teacher. I retired from classroom teaching 11 years ago, but then that same year I opened a music store and began teaching string students, creating orchestras, and teaching students to create music together. Big retirement fail. Last month, I increased my failure to retire by becoming a part-time teacher at Jefferson Elementary, here in our neighborhood, teaching Spanish and violin classes. As one colleague put it, an epic retirement fail. I am sharing this because of what my teaching work has taught me about spiritual vision and spiritual blindness, which is what our gospel reading is about today. I have discovered through trial and error, mostly error, two important truths about blindness and vision. The first is that we are often blinded by our expectations, by what we have prepared ourselves to see. The second is that we generally only see what we are looking for, and are blind to those things we are not looking for, are not ready to see. When I look at a student, I see someone who has the full potential to learn what they desire to know and do. I look for this, and I always find it. This potential is real. This ability is truly there. I don't create it. God has created it in this person. However, many of my beginning students tell me that they have no talent, no ability, and no potential. They cannot see it. They are blind to it. They don't see this in themselves, I believe, primarily because they do not expect it nor look for it. In our gospel reading in Mark last week, we see an example of this kind of blindness in James and John, the sons of thunder. Jesus has just told them that the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and they will hand him over to the Gentiles. They will mock him and spit upon him and flog him and kill him, and after 3 days he will rise again. James and John do not take in this vision of the immediate future that Jesus has just this moment given the disciples. It goes against all of their expectations of glorious victory and rewards in heaven. They can't see it. They are blinded to it because they are not looking for suffering and death. They are looking for their reward for being first among disciples. They are expecting to join Jesus in his messianic place in the heavenly throne room. Blind Bartimaeus poetically provides a complete contrast to the spiritual blindness of James and John. Bartimaeus, though physically blind, truly sees who Jesus is. He cries out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." This is the first time that Son of David as a title is applied to Jesus. This is a royal title, calling forth the vision of King David. Jesus will soon be given that royal Davidic greeting upon entering Jerusalem. Bartimaeus, even before his physical sight is restored, has full insight into Jesus' identity. He clearly is looking for miraculous healing and is full of the expectation of it. He answers the same question that Jesus asked James and John, "What do you want me to do for you?" with a request for wholeness of vision, not some kind of preferment over others. That he is full of expectation is made clear when Jesus simply says, "Your faith has made you well." Bartimaeus is unique in the Gospels. We know his name, unlike the others healed from blindness or other diseases. And he is the only person healed about whom we are told, immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. The way is an early expression meaning to follow Jesus as his disciple. Bishop N.T. Wright shares his insight into Bartimaeus in these words. He wants the new life, not only sight, but the chance to follow Jesus. Fancy seeing for the first time in many years and imagine that the first thing you saw was Jesus on his way up to Jerusalem. Mark is quite clear. Bartimaeus is a model to imitate. Unlike the disciples who hadn't really understood what Jesus is about, he is already a man of faith, courage, and true discipleship. I personally think of Bartimaeus as someone who expects to see and looks for the light of Christ. The author Madeleine L'Engle writes about the light of Christ in several of her books. In her book, Walking on Water, Reflections on Faith and the Arts, we find this famous favorite quote. We draw people to Christ not by loudly discrediting what they believe, by telling them how wrong they are and how right we are, but by showing them a light that is so lovely that they want with all their hearts to know the source of it. Bartimaeus sees that light with his inner vision because he expects it and looks for it. He follows that light of Christ. Perhaps the reason we know his name is because he follows Christ all the way to the cross and beyond. In addition to the teaching that I do, I enjoy another small ministry to which I am called. I share posts on social media that reflect the words that are found in the Litany of Thanksgiving. We give thanks for all that is gracious in the lives of men and women, revealing the image of Christ. My criteria are examples of humor, beauty, kindness, or truth. Because I expect these things and look for them daily, I find them constantly in great abundance. I invite you to join me in this practice by looking for the light of Christ with the confidence that if you let God set your expectations and look for his light, the light of his Son, Jesus Christ, you will find that light all around us. Then you can bless those around you by reflecting and sharing that light with everyone you meet. At the end of the 2nd century, St. Clement of Alexandria writes of the light we will receive if we look for it. Receive Christ. Receive power to see. Receive your light, that you may plainly recognize both God and man, more delightful than gold and precious stones, no more desirable than honey and the honeycomb is the word that has enlightened us. How could he not be desirable, he who illumined minds that were buried in darkness, and endowed with clear vision, the light-bearing eyes of the soul? Let us open ourselves to the light then, and so to God. Let us open ourselves to the light and become disciples of the Lord. Become disciples of the Lord means that we must see by his light, see ourselves and others as revealed by the light of Christ. His light shows us who we really are, beloved children of God, and we must learn to see the light of Christ in each other's faces. With God's help, we can be like Bartimaeus, people of vision, faith, courage, and true discipleship. In the words of St. Clement, let us then shake off forgetfulness of truth, shake off the darkness that dims our eyes, and contemplate the true God after first raising this song of praise to him. All hail, O light, for upon us buried in darkness, imprisoned in the shadow of death, a heavenly light has shone, a light of a clarity surpassing the sun's, and of a sweetness exceeding any this earthly life can offer. That light is eternal life, and those who receive it live